I said when Deshaun Watson's suspension was handed down by Sue L. Robinson, the independent judge chosen by the Players Association and the NFL to rule on this matter as part of the new collective bargaining agreement is hammered out in 2020, the way of discipline being handed out, player conduct policy violations in the NFL. She ruled 6-game suspension because of the precedents that had been set in previous years for nonviolent sexual assault behavior. And again, Deshaun Watson also not criminally charged for this behavior. As we all know, everybody knows the story. I'm just kind of laying the groundwork for you because, in case you might not know, the National Football League, in the collective bargaining agreement agreed to by the union in 2020 and passed, allows for the independent judge's ruling to be appealed by the NFL to the NFL. And it's either the commissioner can hear the case himself or his designee. And the league had 3 business days to hammer this thing out, and they did it in 2 business days. They're appealing. And to that I say good. I don't believe 6 games was nearly enough. And the reason why Deshaun Watson got 6 games is because of precedence. And even though the judge said this is without precedence and agreed that Watson had met the NFL and the collective bargaining agreement's definition of what he did in terms of sexual nature. And they if you read Sue L. Robinson's opinion, it seems like she's about to throw the book at him. And the league wanted a full year. And according to Charles Robinson, no relation to Sue L., I imagine, of Yahoo, the judge told the NFL and the Players Association in the room in front of everyone during this process that the league was not going to get what they're looking for. A year suspension, open-ended, where Watson needs to meet certain benchmarks in order to be reinstated. And so that made perfect sense of everything else that had come out, that the Players Association was not going to come to a settlement with the league before the ruling. And then if you remember, there was a statement the Players Association put out the night before the ruling was reportedly coming, saying, we're going to abide by this decision no matter what. And we think the league should too, even though they have a collectively bargained right to not live by the decision. I guess they knew already the league wasn't getting the full year, so we'll abide by the decision. We know it's not a full year. At least that makes sense. And it also made sense for the Players Association to tell Sue L. Robinson about precedents. And also the fact that owners of the National Football League have run afoul of personal conduct. And they didn't get the hammer thrown down on them. To all that, I say again, what Deshaun Watson did, and him, apparently, according to the reports, I'd really want to hear from him again, and I guess we will at some point. You know, the Browns say he's remorseful, and then you see all the reporting coming out of Watson camp saying he didn't do anything wrong. And Sue Robinson even said, you did all of this wrong, right, and you don't have any remorse, and that's part of the reason why I'm giving you the 6 games, which is kind of double what precedent says I should do to you. And again, there are people with purchasing power for this business that think 6 games and no fine when he also has a contract that only puts 1 million of his 46 up for being hit by the NFL due to a suspension in lost wages. That something had to be done. And the league is doing it. And I have no idea what's going to come of it. And again, Charles Robinson of Yahoo is saying today that there are 2 options the league is offering to Watson. One is a full year. Did you read this article? I don't know if you read this, Chris, today, but I read it this morning.
The full year option?
It's a full year, and his contract would toll. What does that mean? It means that his 5-year contract extension would not begin until 2023, meaning he's 1 year further away from having another contract negotiation. Obviously, teams can rip up deals, but I don't know why he'd want to have this deal ripped up, because it's the best deal in the history of deals. It's all fully guaranteed. But Watson would have to sit out the year, and he would have to have his contract tolled, and he would have to seek counseling for all of the things that, if you read anything about what Watson did in the New York Times and any of these lawsuits, I think he does need to sit down and talk to somebody about all this. And there would be no further fine. The other one is a 12-game suspension and a hefty fine, a significant fine. One in which, according to Robinson, would be to take the money away from him that he earned last year just sitting around with the Texans. So last year would be a de facto suspension of Watson, even though he willingly said, I don't want to play. And then on top of it would be another year suspension, 12 games. I don't know which one he would want to choose. Both require him to have counseling. And the contract wouldn't toll because obviously he would play. Massive fine, 12-game suspension, no tolling, and no need to apply for reinstatement. Or year suspension, contract tolls, no fine.
Jeez.
That's apparently what the league is offering to Deshaun Watson right now. And they could basically say, do what you want. We're going to sue you anyway. And then who in the hell knows what happens right there. Mike Florio says that Watson would be in a very difficult position to win that. So that's what's up on that front. And the league is basically saying, say what you will about this process, and you can say that we're making it a sham because we're not accepting the ruling of the independent judge, and we are going to appeal it to ourselves because it's the commissioner's choice to either hear the case himself, and Tom Pelissero is joining us in hour 3. Our colleague Ian Rappaport saying the commissioner will not hear it himself, and as a matter of fact, he will hire an arbitrator that's outside of the NFL. Okay?
I think that's a good move.
Because the NFL believes on its merits, that what Sue L. Robinson said Watson did, and the fact that Robinson was so strident in putting it out there, the league is like, she knows this is worth this long of a suspension, but our previous iterations mandated her to not give us the full year. And she basically told them at the outset. So the league has had almost a month to prepare for this moment. If I'm Watson, I'll take the 12 games. Give me the 12 games. I don't want my contract tolling. I'm going to make an insane amount of money. It's all guaranteed. I'll take the 12 games with a massive fine. I don't need to apply for reinstatement either. I'm back. I'd be back. 12 games. Cleveland, do they have a late bye? They don't. It's right in the middle of the season. So he would be back week 13. Oh, my gosh, at Houston. All right. Welcome back, Deshaun. And then you could play this year. Be there for your team. Get it over with.
Yeah, Rich, 12 games, he'd be back for Cincinnati.
Is that what it would be?
Yeah, it's games, not weeks, probably.
Okay, so it would be 8 weeks, then a bye. And then, 8 games and then 4 more. He would miss the game at Houston.
Yeah.
Even better for him.
He'd be back for a stretch run, maybe playoffs.
Cincinnati, Baltimore, New Orleans, Washington, Pittsburgh. He'd be back for 3 division games. Yeah, man. If I'm him, pay the money. Obviously, it's not mine. But if it's $10 million, I guess, of whatever he was making last year in Houston, that's it. Stroke the check. Be done with it. You're back for your team this year. Or what do you, roll the dice and say, I'll win in court? But as you know, he's all about the league would. The one thing that I didn't see in this story, and I'll just wrap with this here. Either way, the league would 100% make him admit something was up. Express remorse, significant. Accept responsibility for what happened. Again, I know he has many supporters in Cleveland, and I know many people are coming after me for talking in this strident manner about him, thinking that I am also not nearly as strident about the NFL owners and other foibles of the front office. This is a totally different story, folks. Just read all the details. Read it. Do yourself a favor and read it. And then you tell me it's not worth the NFL to up Sue Robinson's discipline. Because it's worth it. For a lot of people. And for Watson to say he did nothing wrong, and his camp to say he did nothing wrong? Really? Come on. I wasn't born on August 3rd, 2022.